Alright, first up we got Battle of the Brave.
Speaking of cold, I got the coldest flow, cold for sure, fold below, colder than Nova Scotia snow, colder than my heart, which is frozen, no, cold enough to let the toast, I said cold enough to let the toaster go at his grandparents' mobile home, grandma do the rope a dope, grandpa do the okey poke.
It was announced in September 2015 that they would have their first event, which was called Birth of the Brave. The actual event happened in December 2015. General admission was the equivalent of about $52 US. The event was supposed to have Math Alpha versus Tony D, Hitman Holla versus Bonkaz, Pat Stay versus Hollow the Don, Charlie Clips versus Gemini, and JC versus Arsonal. And there was uncertainty up to the last minute of the event of if it was even going to happen at all. Hollow the Don described the situation as shaky with only a few weeks to go until the battle. When it did happen, they had a pay-per-view and the stream was amazing. The organization, however, was absolutely horrible. There were hours between battles and battlers were nowhere to be found. Apparently Math Alpha had gone missing and he was supposed to be one of the first up and then he was several hours late. Hitman Holla's remix was cut off, which was a big deal because of time limits, and it seems like he was about to do it and they just threw him right off. And Pat Stay versus Hollow the Don, which was the main event of the entire event, really had a very rushed feel to it. It was supposed to be a 3-round battle and it ended up being only a 1-round battle. In a recap from Reddit Rapbattles, they said, in 5.5 hours, we got 5 scheduled rounds of rap. So, it basically was 1 battle per hour, which is not a very good ratio. Battle fans in general were not really happy with this event, and the crowd booed when the time was up and everything, so it was not a good way to have a first event, and they haven't been heard from since.
You should introduce yourself for a round, at least part of it, but you rather tell me about me like I'm not a narcissist. Until my lost fans can't figure what my aim is, here I go again making another bitch famous.
Next up, we got Total Slaughter, which was announced in January 2014 by Shady Records. Obviously, Eminem has a background in battling. He did the whole battling thing himself. He had the 8 Mile thing, which was very important to battle rap. Mike Herod, who is A&R of Shady Records, was touring with Alchemist and Slaughterhouse and constantly heard them talking about battle rap, so he came up with the idea for the show. Basically, it was a reality show where contestants competed and then they would have a final event. The show featured Disaster, Cortez, Math Alpha, Marv 1, Daylight, Big T, Arsonal, Verb, and Mook and Lux acting as heads of the teams. T-Rex infamously kind of snuck in and kicked Cortez out of the house. Originally, Hollow the Don versus Budden was not supposed to be part of the battle, but Hollow and Budden got in an argument at the house, and this basically they challenged each other, and that's how the battle was set up. The actual event happened at Hammerstein Ballroom, and to the date, it is the largest battle rap venue in the United States that has happened. The final event was Big T versus Arsonal, T-Rex versus Daylight, Murder Mook versus Lux, and Hollow the Don versus Budden. Other than Big T versus Arsonal, the whole event was kind of a letdown in general. I think everybody had unrealistically high expectations for everything. And we haven't really heard from Total Slaughter since around the time of this event.
I'm authentic, my brain is large, augmented, my car rented, this cushion switches cigars in it, bar better than bars, but never bars in it, yo, I go hard with it, spitting poison, I'm arsenic, yeah, you could get punished, you could get it if you wanted, your stomach got carved in it, then in that bar finish, I'll come in your mom box and let my cock spar with it.
Next up, we got Filmon. In August 2014, there was a huge announcement, and this was that there was going to be a mega event featuring Disaster versus Cassidy. No real other details were made public at that time, but that was a huge deal. Filmon, the company behind this whole event, was kind of interesting because it's ran by a very eccentric billionaire who's known for crazy things. His name is Alki David, and in previous things he's known for offering people money to run naked in front of President Obama and things like that. So he's very eccentric and was kind of a unique figure, and he also has rights of some sort to the famous Tupac hologram technology, and they used that for their first press conference, which was kind of weird because apparently Cassidy was in the building, but they put him in through hologram. During the press conference, Cassidy and Disaster got in a huge argument, and basically, it was publicity for the battle. The event happened on December 6, 2014. It was supposed to be Bonnie Godiva versus Official, Cossack versus Kelly Smooth, Heartless versus Danny Myers, Active versus Big T, Immaculate versus Real Deal, The Source versus Arsonal, Conceited versus Big K, Daylight versus Serious Jones, and Disaster versus Cassidy. Rum Nitty and Billy Boondocks also had a surprise battle. Official versus Bonnie Godiva did not end up going down. The event was a bit strange. The pay-per-view quality was decent, and the actual event was pretty good. There were some good battles, but Disaster vs. Cassidy was really hectic. Officials were basically threatening to shut down if people didn't move back, and as anyone who's ever been to a battle rap event knows, everybody thinks they're VIP, so basically no one moved back. Disaster and Cassidy's crew also, started going in on one another.
But the difference in the two is the caliber. Yo, man, come on, let us rap, man. What the fuck's your problem? Yo, I said we both, y'all ruining it for everybody.
Start down.
And the fire marshal was supposedly present and told the venue that they needed to close. On top of that, they were also running over time. So instead, Disaster vs. Cassidy happened next day in a parking lot. Now, while the actual video quality of the pay-per-view was pretty good, the pay-per-view had a lot of issues, including lag and audio issues, and there was entire drops of service. And Alki David basically said that it was denial service attack, so kind of like hackers going against the thing. I don't know if that's true or not, but that was the claim. Following the event, there was huge issues with payment. A lot of people claimed that they didn't get paid, and there was issues of who was supposed to pay who, so it was kind of one big disaster. No pun. When some battles were dropped, they were actually removed from the Filmon channel. Like, for example, Daylight versus Serious Jones, you can't find that no more. On top of all these other issues, Disaster vs. Cassidy was kind of weirdly recorded and kind of had weird audio. I don't know exactly what it is, but it just did not seem right. And overall, I think people were generally disappointed with the event, with Disaster vs. Cassidy, and it just did not live up to the expectations.
Fuck rap, we can scrap, but I got them superhero powers. Listen, boy, I got a Superman, Spider-Man, Batman backhand, and it's worse than getting hit by Thor. You're gonna need 100 gats, the Power Rangers, the Thundercats, that Tomb Raider bitch and more. When I get the clicking force of my wrist is sore, you hit the floor with every ligament tore. You ain't never seen no shit like this before.
Next up, we got Battle of America, which happened in October 29, 2011, so kind of a long time ago. The event featured K-Shine vs. Big Will, Hitman Holla vs. Goods, and T-Rex vs. Young Ill. Hitman Holla vs. Goods dropped a couple months later in December 11, 2011. All these battles dropped within a couple months of the event. Hitman Holla vs. Goods was a pretty good battle besides the Hitman choke, and T-Rex vs. Young Ill would kind of be regarded as one of the best one-round battles of all time. Also, the filming was really quality, and it was great, it was a really good battle. Battle America went on to have other events. They had T-Rex vs. Cossack was supposed to happen. That never actually happened, but T-Rex also battled Donnie Menace and Artisan. Battle America also said that they were in the works of a TV deal, so things were really looking up for them. They ended up having a couple more battles by the end of the year, but the last official battle was Dan Bars vs. Lucky Luch in December 2012. It was announced that they would come back in the summer of 2013, but they never did. Currently, these battles have a ton of views. Hitman Holla vs. Goods has 1.3 million, and T-Rex vs. Young Ill has 4 million views. To my knowledge, there's no public reason why Battle America didn't continue after 2012, but it just never really did.
I turn up, bar about ride up, CTS, me and a couple sopranos, you and your cats and your flannel, bitch and packs with your family. I let that window half down like, yo, what's happening, manano? My Spanish all fucked up, but he ain't catching this asshole out that window that baby using. Black and they scramble, click and clack out of ammo, U-turn. I got a double back like a camel. How about the
And now on to King Juice. King Juice had one small room event in August 2012 that featured Cortez versus Meta, and a lot of people don't even know about this, because a lot of people really know them for their next event, which was Triumph over Demise, which happened in St. Louis in February 2013. General admission was $40, and you could buy the video on demand for the entire event for $4. So, I mean, that's a really good deal, $4 for all these battles. The battles featured were Hitman Holla vs. Math, Aver vs. Cortez, O-Red vs. Young Ill, Meta vs. Wave Seva, Magic vs. Just Juice, and X Factor vs. Tone. As I said, they had a pay-per-view. It was actually a video on demand. It was not live. They had the video on demand. And the original video, I remember watching this, it looked like it was recorded on a potato, and the audio was horrible. It was released as a pay-per-view on KingJuice.com. So it never made it to YouTube, which is really weird. It had some bootlegs, but they were removed super quickly. It was finally officially re-released years and years later, and it looks much better, but it's still not amazing. A couple notes, Averb vs. Cortez is one of the best Verb performances of all time. He's in his own city, so that makes sense. And Hitman Holla vs. Math popularized the Gun So Big trend.
Math, you will listen to neck until I snap it on. Oh, you still fucking with Travis? Get this faggot on. You ain't real cum, I just needed something to practice on. Weapon so big when I bought it, I had to drag it.
This is another one where we can't really say for sure what happened. There's no public information of why King Juice did not continue. But besides a couple other things that they did, they have not really been heard from since.